presentation today. I'm happy to invite you all to the 7th day session of 2 weeks International FDP and Technology Insights on IoT, Artificial Intelligence and Data Science. The schedule of today's workshop will focus on the progressing topic that is supervised algorithm. I would also extend my warm welcome to our keynote speaker, Mr. Rajkumar sir. He is currently working as Senior Systems Engineer at Infosys Chennai. He is an experienced front-end developer, an expertise in Angular and Ionic framework, a technical mentor, and a public speaker. We are happy to have you with us today, sir. Now, I request Mr. Rajkumar sir to take over this session. The session is yours, sir.
Thank you. Hope my voice is clear.
Yes, sir.
The screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Great. Thank you. First of all, I would like to extend my thanks to the college management for giving me this opportunity. Because speaking at such a big organization is giving me a lot of pride. And yes, this is my webinar number 227, and this is the lockdown. So I've been taken part in 226 webinars before in various colleges across the country. So it's more than 200 colleges across the country. Yeah, so here I can see all the college faculties as a whole. So this is really a great opportunity. And I'm just going to share some of my views about the machine learning and the supervised algorithms which are being used in the machine learning. So I'll just share some of the points which I know about it. Give me one second. Okay, sorry. So we all might have known about the machine learning concept. Okay, so I'm just going to give you some hints, though we already heard about that. So I'm just going to give you some hint for the continuation. Okay, so as we know, like machine learning is a subset of AI. Okay, so we know much about AI concepts, and machine learning is one of the AI concepts used. Really sorry, I'm getting some office calls again. All right. So as we know, like machine learning is one of the subset of AI. So it is helping the machines to make decisions on their own. Okay. So this particular definition we know already. So we have three types of ML. Okay. So we can term the ML into supervised, unsupervised, and reinforced. Okay. So in this particular session, we are going to discuss about how this supervised learning works. Okay. So generally, we all know that what is meant by supervision. Okay. So let me skip these things. Yeah. So first, I'll tell you how this machine learning actually works. Anyone want to share something?
No, sir. Sir, you can continue, sir.
Okay. So we know that let's assume I am taking Amazon. Okay, so I'm going to search some product in Amazon. Okay, so when I'm trying to search for a product, what will happen is the moment I type the product name, it will fetch me some details. Okay, So I'm searching for a Samsung Galaxy S10 mobile. So it will fetch me some results related to that particular search. And after I'm selecting a particular mobile, it will be giving me a lot of other related products which are all related to the product which I am searching. It will be having various parameters. Okay, so the brand name, model name, the capacity, RAM capacity, and the internal storage capacity, uh, and color. Okay, so operating system and the processor. So there are various points we can able to take from that particular mobile which we are selecting, and the related searches will be depending on these points. Okay, but how a machine can make this in more efficient way. Okay, so that's where the machine learning is helping. Okay, so just look at this picture. So we have a training data here. Okay, so what do you mean by a training data here is, let's say, so let's talk about what is learning. So a learning is nothing but something where we will be teaching to a kid. Okay, so I will be teaching to my kid, some 3 years old kid. So I'll be telling him, hey, this is A, this is B, this is C. That kid will learn from it. And after that we will be teaching the kid like how to frame words, how to frame sentence, and how to speak. And after some point of time, the kid will start writing poems or any essays on their own. Okay, how that intelligence the kid got? Okay, because you are just teaching the alphabets, you are just teaching how to frame words and how to frame sentences. But after the regular practice, the kid can able to write poems and articles on their own. Okay. So similarly, we are just going to train the machine. Hey, this is the input, these are all the possible outputs. If this is the condition, this output can be implemented. If this is the scenario, this output can be synthesized. So in this particular way, we will be training the machine. Okay, so let's say if the previous example Amazon I'm taking. Okay, in this Amazon example, I'm giving the inputs. I'm giving the input like brand name, model name, size, everything. Okay. So what my algorithm will do is, this algorithm will check all these inputs, and it will plot a graph. Okay. So I'll be discussing this linear regression graphs in the later part. Okay. So it will plot a graph, and inside the graph, it will be having all the related items. Okay, so the related items will be spread out in the graph, and it will be it will be selecting some nearest elements based on the filters which we are giving, and finally it will be providing me the related searches. Okay, so for this particular search we will be training this training kit. Okay, so that training algorithm we will be providing, whether I'm going to use k-means algorithm, whether I'm going to use linear regression algorithm, whether I'm going to use a priori algorithm. So what type of algorithm I'm going to use for this particular problem. So that particular training we will be giving to the machine. And of course we will be having the model data. Okay, so the raw data will be coming from the input, and we are not going to use the raw data directly. So we will be processing the data. Okay, so we will be extracting the semantic meaning or whatever. Okay, so even if you are searching for something in the Google, it will fetch you the details which are related to its semantic meanings also, right? So all types of processing will be happened. So finally what you will get is a processed data with a particular format. Okay, a processed data with a particular format, which is a valid input for this particular algorithm, right? And finally the prediction will be happening. Okay, so after the kit is being trained, the prediction will be happening, and once the prediction is done, we can able to get a successful result. Okay, so this is how a machine learning is actually working, right? Yeah, as we discussed before, machine learning is of 3 types: supervised, unsupervised, and reinforced. Okay, so let us talk something about these 3 first, and then we'll be going forward with the algorithms in detail. Okay, So first thing, what is supervised learning? So generally, when in which condition we will be using this word supervision is when students are writing exams, we will be supervising. Okay, so when when our kids are playing in the beach, we will be supervising them. Okay, so we will be protecting them by restricting them to a certain extent. So supervising is something like under the view of some senior, under the view of a mentor. Okay, similarly, when we are actually doing the ML process, if there is a part which already knows that this is going to happen, so if someone is monitoring and if someone is actually guiding the input, this is what you are going to do. Okay, so that kind of thing is nothing but the supervised learning. Whereas unsupervised learning, it will take some new inputs. Some new inputs can take place, and based on the new input, some new learning will be there. Okay, and some new results can be produced in the unsupervised learning. Whereas if you take supervised learning, it is completely a formatted thing. So it will be supervised by a predefined training set. Okay, the predefined training set will be supervising it, and it will work on it. And reinforcement learning is like it is an iterative process. For example, if you are going to give an input, and if you are going to do a prediction model, so if the prediction is correct, score reward will be given, and if the prediction goes wrong, the penalty will be given. So we will be discussing about all these things in the later slides. Okay, so first we're going to discuss about what is supervised learning. Okay, so look at this picture. Let us assume we have some input raw elements. Okay, so we have some input raw elements. We don't bother about the color. We are just providing some set of apples. Okay, so these apples will actually, this input will go to the algorithm. Okay, so we will be having any algorithm, let's say any supervised algorithm. Okay, so what will happen, the training set will be under the control of a supervisor. Okay, a supervisor will be monitoring the training kit, and this input will be tested in the training kit. Okay, so whether this particular input is available in the training kit or not. So it will be searching. The supervisor will help in searching this thing, and he will send it to the algorithm. Okay, so from the supervisor, the algorithm will get the information regarding the input, and then it will be getting processed. Okay, so it will not be just throw away the result. It will process the result, and it will optimize the result. In what way we should give it to the user? For example, if it is an Amazon, the end result will be something different. If it is a Swiggy, Zomato, the end result will be something different. If it is a Netflix or YouTube, the end result will be something different. Okay, so similarly, for what purpose we are going to use, based on that, the processing will be happening, and finally the model will be producing the output. And if let's say I have the apples, I know that apples are of red color. So maybe if the new input is given with a green apple, then the model will be getting trained under the supervision. The model will be getting trained, the data set will be getting trained, and then it will find it is an apple with the help of the previous data which is available. Okay, so the previous data will be having a specified size, a specified shape, and some specific parameters will be there for the existing data, right? So it will compare the new input with the existing records, and then it will analyze, hey, this is also similar to the existing one which we have, so this must be an apple. So this is how this particular supervised algorithm will work.
मेरी डेस्कटॉप पे कोई फाइल तो होगी।
Sorry, I think accidentally someone spoke. Or if you want to ask anything.
No, Sivan, continue.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let us go with some more examples. Okay, so we have some predefined data set. Okay, so we have some predefined data set, and we have some ducks, and we have something which are not ducks. So we have some bunnies and we have some other animals here. Okay, so we are giving this as an input. Okay, so what will happen? The input is having some parameters. Okay, the ears, the beaks, okay, the eyes, a lot of inputs are here, and of course the legs. So what will happen is this particular input will go to the system, go to the algorithm. The algorithm will check what are the parameters this particular input has. It has a beak, it has eyes, it has ears, it has legs, it has hands, everything. So based on these inputs, it will try to match that with the existing data set. Okay, so the existing data set will get matched, and finally based on the points, it will check which particular category is having more percentage of match. Okay, so if a duck is coming up with more percentage, then the result will be predicted, and it will say like it is a duck. Okay, so our question is it a duck? This is our question. So the final result will be yes, it is a duck. So that's how we will be getting that. You got it? Is my voice audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, so I think Sushant is having some network issues, it seems. All right. So we have some different algorithms for supervised learning. So the first one, which is most commonly used, is linear regression algorithm. Okay, so it is plotting a graph, and based on the graph, we can able to get the result. Okay, so we might have heard about the regression algorithms in mathematics, and even in software testing kind of things, we are using the regression testing and all. So we are going to plot a 2D graph, and based on the 2D graph results, we are going to get how this linear regression algorithm is working. Okay, and apart from that, we have a random forest algorithm, and we have support vector machines algorithm. Okay, so we have a lot of other algorithms, but these three are the major algorithms which we are using for supervised learning. Okay, so some of the real life examples where we are using this supervised algorithms is Cortana. Okay, so the assistants which we are using in various things. So for Apple, we use Siri. For Google, we are using Google Assistant. For Microsoft, we are using this Cortana kind of thing. Okay, so similarly, we have lot of other algorithms for in this supervised learning. Okay, so this kind of weather prediction things. Okay, so for predicting the weather, we will be using supervised learning. And this, so this is one of the most important application which we are using in the daily life. For unlocking our phone, we will be using this fingerprint sensor, right? And we will be using the face recognition also, right? Yeah, so we will be using the face recognition, we will be using the fingerprint analysis. So in these kind of areas, this particular algorithm plays a vital role. Okay, so how it is working? So we all know that everyone will be having the unique fingerprint, but when you look at some fingerprint, everything will look similar. Okay, so as a human, you cannot simply identify how this particular fingerprint sensor is working, right? So every fingerprints will be looking like same, but when it goes to a computer will see it in a different way. First, the fingerprint image will be converted to a grayscale image, and it will be having a lot of plot points. So as it is discussed here, okay, so some bifurcation, some ridge ending. So these kind of points will be there in every fingerprint, and it will be taking some particular path. Okay, some particular path from that center, we can say. Okay, so some distance from the center, and where it is exactly appearing. Okay, so where it is exactly appearing in the 2D graph. Okay, By matching all these points with the existing data records we have, we can able to find out, yes, he is a valid user, and no, he is not a valid user. Okay, so that's how this fingerprint sensor is working. Okay, so we already have the predefined data set, and even if a new user registering to the account, and if the new user is giving his fingerprint, we will be asking the new user to put the fingerprint twice. Okay, why we are asking them to put it twice means we will be validating whether the first input is matching with the second input. Okay, some 90, more than 95% or more than 98%, if it is matching, then we can say like, okay, we will be saving this record. So what is exactly happening? The model will get trained. The model will add this fingerprint as a new record, so that when this particular person logs in next time, the system will identify the person and say, hey Rajkumar, yes, you can able to log in now. Okay, so that's how it is working. So some real life areas where we are using this supervised algorithm. So in some particular domains is in banks. Okay, so as a professionals, you might be getting a lot of calls from the bank for credit cards. Okay, so that time the bank will decide how much limit we can able to give to this particular person. So generally, what are the parameters the bank is considering for giving the credit limit? Any ideas? Is it audible for you?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, and the participants will be using their chat box only, sir.
Yeah, because someone is posted like voice is very low. That's why.
No, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. Yeah, of course. So CIBIL score we will be checking. And what are the other parameters we are having for giving some credit limit? Annual income is, of course. Proper payment of loan history. Perfect. Yeah, so we have all these things, right? So we have this TDS kind of things, everything. So whether you are paying it properly, whether you are paying the loans properly without any delays in the payment, and of course the credit card companies will be checking whether you are using the card properly. Okay, that means, for example, once in a while, once after 6 months only, or after 8 months only, I will be using the credit card. I'm not using the credit card regularly. That time, the bank will not consider you to increase your credit limit. The bank will give you more limit only when you are using it continuously. Every month, if you are using the credit card, and every month, if you are paying it properly, and if your annual income is increasing. Okay, so these kind of points the company will consider, and then only it will decide the credit worth. Okay, so we can give 1 lakh to this customer, we can give 2 lakhs to this customer, we can give 5 lakhs to this customer. So this bank actually predicting this using your various parameters. So I hope you might have got an idea how this credit card sector is using this supervised learning, right? And in hospitals, okay, so right, in lot of fully furnished hospitals, so let's take Apollo, let's take any other hospitals, global level of hospitals. So these hospitals will be having the completely automated software for a patient admission, even for printing the medicines, even for suggesting the medicines, even for managing the medical records of the patient. The companies are the hospitals are using a lot of online portals. So in that portal, let's say I have a surgery with a hospital, and after a year I'm going to admit in that hospital for some other purpose. Okay, so I'm going to readmit myself for the any particular thing. So this particular hospital management will predict whether this guy is coming with a different problem or a same recurring problem. for example, I got some problem during my last surgery, and this particular treatment is depending on the last previous treatments. Or if let's say if a lady is going for a pregnancy level things, for the all the 10 months and even after the birth of the kid, this this treatment process is a continuous one, right? So in these kind of areas, the hospital will actually predict whether he is a new user or a old user, and the person is coming with the same issue or different issue. So maybe if I have a particular disease, and if the disease is having various tiers, okay, so tier 1, tier 2 level, so the management will be finding, okay, so this guy in this level, so previously the pressure level is this, so previously the sugar level is this, now it got increased. So everything will be completely monitored in the system, and the supervised learning is helping to understand the level of the patient, and what are the medicines we can able to suggest, what dosage of medicine we can able to suggest. So these kind of predictions will be made in the healthcare sector. Okay. And this one we might have seen very commonly. Okay. So whenever you are purchasing a product in Amazon or Flipkart, it will be telling you some suggestions, frequently bought together. Okay, so frequently bought together. If you are purchasing an iPhone, it will be giving you some suggestions, back case, tempered glass, some headphones, or any insurance. So these kind of things, and it will tell you these are the products customers buy together. Okay, so for this particular functionality, the supervised learning is helping a lot. Okay, so when you are buying an iPhone, it will never show you a back case for a Samsung mobile. Okay, so if you are buying a Mixie, it will never show you a product with a fan or something. It will always give you some related product which is related to the one which you are actually buying today. Okay, so let's assume two different test cases. Okay, I'm a guy, I'm visiting Amazon, I'm purchasing a air conditioner, and I am purchasing an headphone. Okay, so is there any relationship between this air conditioner and headphone? No. So these two are two different items. And another case, one guy is purchasing a mobile and he is purchasing a headphone. If a third person enters, and if the third person is searching for this mobile phone, then he will get a suggestion that frequently bought together, this mobile phone and this headset. But if a fourth person comes and if he is searching for the air conditioner, the system will not tell you can buy together the air conditioner and the headphone. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So if we are actually buying some particular products together, and if the products are related products, okay, then the system will train itself. Okay, so these are all some related products and this guy is purchasing all these related products. So when next customer comes, we can show the customer like, hey, a previous guy has bought this together, why can't you try the same? Okay, so these kind of suggestions our application can able to make. For this, we are using this supervised learning. So hopefully so hopefully you got some ideas about how this supervised learning works, right? And we have something to share about unsupervised learning also. So we'll just see some little crisp about all these things, and we'll get into the linear regression graphs and all. Okay, so let's say we have some input elements. Okay, so we have some input elements, and let's assume these inputs are not known by our machine before. Our training kit doesn't have these inputs. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm just giving these input data, and there is no output, there is no training kit. We don't have any training kit here because there is no supervisor here. All right, we are passing this data, and these data will be interpreted. Okay, so these data will be interpreted before it is sending to the algorithm. So what is this interpretation is? Finding the object, getting the parameters from the object. Okay, so our system itself will find some parameters of the object. Sorry, anyone want to talk? All right. So whenever you are placing an object, the system will find some parameters for that object, maybe the color, the shape, or whatever. So when you are giving this bulk inputs, so it will compare between the inputs, and it will get various parameters, various common parameters and various unique parameters these things are having, and then this particular modeled input will be sent to the algorithm. Okay, and then the algorithm will get trained. Okay, so it will get trained, and then it will store these data. Okay, so that's how the unsupervised learning is working. So let's say we have some group of things. Okay, so we have some group of things here, and we are using this unsupervised learning. So what will happen? This algorithm will differentiate various items here. Okay, so this is looking different, this is looking different. So what are the distinct things which are available? So we can able to see these two bunnies are looking same, and we can able to see these two ducklings are looking same. Okay, by this way the system will analyze these four are into some single category, because all these four are ducklings, though the color is different. With the help of the beaks, with the help of the legs, the system can able to understand these four must be a single group, and these two bunnies should come in a single group, and this dog is some different group. Okay, so this is how it is working. So what are the algorithms we are using in this unsupervised learning? Is sorry for the title. So these are all some algorithms we can use for unsupervised learning. Okay, so a priori algorithm, k-means algorithm, and hierarchical clustering. Okay, so these are all some algorithms we are using for unsupervised. Right. So some real life scenarios where we can able to use this unsupervised learning. Okay, so let's say we are in a party. Okay, so we are in a party and a lot of people are dancing. Okay, so this algorithm can able to understand, able to help you understand like whether these how many people are dancing, how many people are not dancing. Okay, so how many people are drunk, how many people are not drunk. So these kind of categorization this algorithm can able to make. So this is mainly for categorizing the groups. Okay, so unsupervised learning we are mainly using for categorizing the groups, and that's where it is helpful. Okay, so let's say you are watching a football match in the TV. In what way you can understand this is a separate team, this is a separate team? What are the parameters you are using for understanding it? Of course, the dress code, right? So when you are using the dress code, when you are seeing the dress code, you can clearly understand like, okay, these guys must be one team, these guys must be another team, right? So these kind of understanding we can able to get even though you are not aware of the rules of the football. Okay, so you need not to know about the rules. By seeing the dress code itself, you can say, okay, this guys must be one team and these guys must be other team, right? So this is how this unsupervised learning works. Okay, so in real-time applications in the various domains, how it is being used. Okay, so in banking sectors, so when you go to the bank will be having some various categories of customer, right? VIP customers. Okay, so the VIP customers will always have their first priority, right? So for example, if you and Mukesh Ambani are going to a particular bank, the bank management will obviously give first importance to the Mukesh Ambani, right? So because they are having some categories over various persons. For example, if you are a person who is paying the taxes regularly, if you are the person who is paying the EMIs regularly, then the bank will treat you well. If you are a person who is depositing more than getting loans, the bank will treat you in a different way. if you are a person who is always trying to get loans and all, bank will treat you in different mode. And if you are the person who is not paying the loans properly, the bank will treat you in some different level, right? So various conditions will be there for understanding your level. Okay, so the bank will always give you some better response for based on your behavioral things, right? So these kind of things can be understood with the help of unsupervised learning. So this particular grouping can happen with this one. And let's say we are going to a hospital and they are doing some MRI scan for us. Okay, so they will be taking lot of MRI scans, and they can able to group the scan reports with the help of the normal level or abnormal level. Okay, so if it is a normal level, if the data seems normal, so it will group it as a normal MRIs, and if it is looking somewhat abnormal, then it will be sent to the abnormal category. By this way, we can able to decide for which particular patient we should give more attention. Okay, and this one again, the most common thing which we already know. If you are opening your Amazon app now, it will show you the products which are all related to your past purchases and past searches. Okay, so if I'm opening my Amazon, it will mostly throw me some electronic gadgets. Okay, if my sister is opening that, it will mostly throw some cosmetic things. If someone else is opening, it may show you a lot of books or those kind of things. If a parent is opening, that will mostly show something related to kids. Okay, so these kind of predictions will be happening using this unsupervised learning. So what you have to understand is, it is giving you some results. It is categorizing you to a particular behavior of person. Let's say I'm opening YouTube. I'm mostly watching cricket videos. So the YouTube will decide this guy is a sports lover or this guy is a cricket lover. So whenever I'm entering YouTube again, the YouTube will tell me some videos which are related to cricket. And if someone is more interested in cooking, they will be always seeing cooking videos, so that next time when you visit, it will throw you some cooking videos. So it is same happening to Swiggy, Zomato also. If you are purchasing a particular food, it will always give you some suggestions on what are the other foods you can able to try. Okay, so recommending product based on the previous searches. Got it? And I'm just skipping this reinforcement learning because yeah, so maybe we can see some. Yeah, someone is talking. Anybody want to share?
No, sir. No, sir. You can continue.
All right. So what is this reinforcement learning is? It is an iterative process, as I told. So when you are giving an input, the input will go under various processes. So the traditional AI process will be taking care here. So we'll be having the agent, we will be having this environment. Okay, so when you pass this input, the input will be processed inside the algorithm. Could you please mute yourself? I think someone is talking.
Okay, sir. I will.
Thank you. All right. So when I process this particular input, it will actually check whether it is predicting in a right way. Okay. So I'm just passing an apple. So our model is having green apple. I'm processing a red color apple. Okay. So this red color apple is getting into this processor, and it is checking whether we can able to predict this. Okay, so it will select the algorithm based on the input we are providing, and it will give us reward if we are predicting it in a correct manner, and it will give us penalty if you are predicting it in the wrong manner. Okay, so it will check which best algorithm can able to work for it. Okay, and then it will produce the output and the model will be getting trained. Okay, so in this process, this, as I told, this is an iterative process. So it will be looping into it to find the best solution, and then it will produce the output. Okay. So the agent will be asking which one of them is a duck. Okay. So the system will observe that. Okay. So the first step will be observing, and the second step, which action should be performed. Okay. We will be having various actions. So which action should be performed? And if I'm selecting this is a duck, okay, so if this is really a duck, means the reward will be given, or if it is a wrong answer, some penalty will be given to that particular algorithm, so for that particular action. So in that way, we will be having lot of scores for lot of actions, and finally we will be updating our policy. Okay, this is the policy we have to use, this is the action we have to use, and we will be iterating it further to find the best optimal policy. Okay, yeah, this is going to be the best policy. We can able to predict that. Okay, for this purpose we are using the reinforcement learning. Okay, so let's say we have a dog and we have a food. Okay, when a dog sees the food, it will salivate. Okay, and the second case, we have a bell, we have a dog. So if the bell is ringing, the dog won't salivate, because the dog doesn't want the bell, because the dog doesn't know, like, if the owner is ringing the bell, that means the food is ready. So we are telling the dog, hey, come here, we have food, we have bell, if I am ringing the bell, your food is ready. So we are just teaching the dog, so the dog will respond, the dog will salivate. And once the conditioning is done, once the learning is done, so even if the food is not here, if you ring the bell, the dog will salivate. Okay, so these things are conditional, unconditional stimulus. Okay, so we are not making the dog to salivate, we are just keeping the food there and the dog starts salivate. But here we are conditioning everything, we are updating the policies, and we are making a process here. Okay, we are making a system here. So whenever the bell rings, the dog starts salivate. So this is how the reinforcement learning works in real life. Okay, yeah, so in bank sectors, mainly for the call centers, they will be giving you a lot of offers. So based on your previous performances, we are providing this offer for you. We are providing some 10% cashback on your next online purchase. We are giving some 20% offer for your FD investment, fixed deposit investment. So these kind of offers the bank can able to produce for a particular customer based out of the reinforcement learning. Okay, and the next thing is, so let's say we have some patients. Okay, some patients with some different diseases or some more vigorous diseases, let's say. So in this kind of time, what we can able to do is we will be allocating some critical medical resources. For example, some medicines will be very limited. Okay, so the hospitals will never give the medicine to every patient. They will use the particular critical scarce resources only to some particular cases. Okay, so let's say if the hospital is having an incubator, so they will never use the incubator for every patient. Only for some rare cases, only on demand, they will be using that scarce medical resource, right? So if I have some medicine, so let's say let us take this particular current scenario. They have only 10 injections for corona. Okay, the hospital is having only 10 injections for corona, and 100 patients got admitted. So which patient the hospital will treat first is the person with who is having more severity. Okay, so if this injection can cure corona, then the hospital management will always give the first preference to the person who is near to death. Okay, because the other guys are having some more lifespan, so that they can arrange some medicines in the later part and they can give it to them. But the persons who are on near death will get the priority first. Okay, so this kind of priority scheduling can be done with the help of this reinforcement learning.
Okay, and this one, dynamic pricing. So I think most of us have experienced this dynamic pricing. When you are booking for a flight ticket, or when you are going to a supermarket, we can see this dynamic pricing. Okay, so let's say annual clearance sale. We are giving 75% offer on products. For which products they will be giving more offer? The products which are going to expire very soon. Okay, the products which are going to expire very soon, are the products which are not much concentrated by the customers. Correct. If I'm having a product, I'm having a shop and I'm having a product, I'm waiting for more than 6 months, but no customers are buying this product. What I will do, buy one get one offer for this particular product. I'll be posting a board there. Even after that, nobody is coming, then I will change the approach. If you are buying this product, you can get some other fascinating product for free. At least for getting that fascinating product, customers will come and buy your product. Okay. And the third case, even if nobody is buying this, buy one get six. You might have seen this in annual clearance sale or Independence Day sale or Diwali sale or Aadi sale or whatever. So these kind of dynamic pricing will be achieved using reinforcement learning. So let's say I tell my real life scenario. So some few years back, I had to visit Chandigarh for an event. So from Chennai to Chandigarh, I need to visit. I was checking the flight ticket price and it was showing some 3,800. Okay, so there was an event happening. Smart India Hackathon was happening, and that time I went as a mentor for the team. So that time I was thinking like, okay, we have a lot of time, so we can book the ticket later. After some 10 days, I checked the ticket price. It went up to 6,300 for the same flight. So I really got shocked. So I thought like, oh my God, how these guys are increasing the price double. And then at that time I was arranging money for buying ticket because that was a month end. So obviously I was just waiting to receive my salary. But the flight tickets didn't wait for me. It moved on to 14,000. Okay, so from 6,000 it directly moved on to 14,000. I had no clue what should I do. Then I checked for Delhi ticket. So it showed 5,800, I think. Yeah, so it showed 5,800. So I planned to book the ticket. After 1 hour, I was entering into the portal and I was trying to book ticket. The ticket price was 6,700. So how they are constantly changing the price of the ticket is, they will be checking the demand of the product. Okay, so they will be checking the demand of the product. If more people are curious to get this ticket, they will constantly increase the price of the ticket also. Okay, during the festival times, during any common occasions which are happening in the world. So these kind of times, the system will automatically update the ticket price and you can able to see. Okay, so let's assume a person is sitting and a person is changing all these values manually. It will take a lot of time. Okay, it will take a lot of time. But if you are training your system to do this particular task, you can get it very easily and in a faster manner, right? So for this dynamic pricing kind of things, we are using this reinforcement learning. So this is your time to find whether this particular thing is supervised or unsupervised. So let us take scenario 1. What is your understanding? Whether it is supervised or unsupervised? You can post your responses in chat.
So scenario 1 is supervised, sir.
Okay.
And scenario 2 is unsupervised, sir.
Okay, great.
And fraud detection is also unsupervised.
Okay. So any other answers? So you just put in the chat like scenario 1 supervised, scenario 2 unsupervised. In that manner, if you are plotting your answers, so you can able to get it clearly, right? Okay, you all got it correct. Scenario 1 is supervised because the face recognition is coming under the supervised category. Yes, of course, scenario 2 is unsupervised. because based on our previous recommendations, we are actually getting the next movie recommendation. So scenario 2 is unsupervised. Of course. So scenario 3 also unsupervised, because we are having lot of parameters for the fraud detection. Okay. So if my system is experiencing something new, okay, so this is the normal flow, and the normal flow is breaking, and some new flow is happening in the application, our algorithm will understand, hey, something new happening here, some unexpected situation is happening here, this is not going to be the real process which we expected, there is something fraud is happening here. So these kind of analysis will be happening. So this is coming under unsupervised learning. Okay. And where are the other areas we are having this ML algorithms is, when you are opening your mail is automatically categorizing a lot of mails, right? So this is a spam mail, this is a primary, this is social, this is promotion, this is update. So tell me whether Gmail is using supervised learning or unsupervised learning.
Supervised.
How do you say it is supervised?
Because the set of spams will be always the same, sir, when compared. So with the previous recommendation, we can bring a set of things, because sometimes normal message mails are also displayed in spam, sir. That's all.
Okay, so from your understanding, just tell me what are the parameters for considering a mail as a spam?
It's about clickbait, and it's about unnecessary articles and unnecessary offers, which are keep on coming again. Just consider as spam, sir.
Okay. So generally, for example, if I'm sending you a mail, various things will be taken place. Yes, as Bharanidharan has told, from unknown domain name, a domain name which is not even exist, or a domain name which looks very suspicious. That is the first thing. And the second thing, whether the mail is having a proper salutation. Okay, so what do you mean by the proper salutation is, let's say you are working in a company. Okay, you are working in a company, and you are getting a mail, dear employee. Okay, dear employee, instead of telling dear Rajkumar, if it is telling dear employee, or hi dear, hi candidate. So these kind of generic terms will be considered as a spam. Okay, so if you are sending a mail to some person, it should be obvious that should be having a proper salutation, that should point to a proper person, either through any primary key, or any username, or any first name, or at least some candidate ID kind of things. So if it is not following any of these things, it will be considered as a spam. And of course, the description, whether it is having any violent content, okay, or whether it is having any duplicate fascinating things. Okay, duplicate fascinating things in the sense, this mail is from Coca-Cola, you won a lottery of $20,000, you have to share these following details with us. So without any proper logo, without any proper data formatting, without any proper mail formatting things. Okay, so these things are being categorized. Okay, these things are being categorized as primary, normal, social. So when I say the word categorized, we have to understand what algorithm it should be. So previously we were discussing about the categorization, right? In which type of an algorithm it will come? It will obviously come under the unsupervised learning. Okay. You got it, sir? So we have various algorithms. We are in real life. So for example, there is an algorithm called classification algorithm. Okay. So this classification algorithm is helping us to categorize in spam or not spam, male or female. So in which particular classification it will come. Okay. Need spam categorization in the sense. Sorry, I couldn't understand. Okay, so you want me to explain once again, right? So if a mail is a spam, you can just get it through some points. Maybe I can share my whole screen and I can show you some real-time thing. Just give me one moment. So I'm opening my mail. I'm opening some spam here, okay? So when you look at here, this mail is not having any content, okay? This mail is not having any content. It is just having a subject, okay? The subject says Ayurvedic consultation over video and voice call. But this mail is not having any content here, okay? So it is just having this particular domain, though the domain seems to be a normal, as it is not having any content or something, we can able to understand that this may be a spam. Okay, so I'm opening some other random mail. Okay, so when you see here, this is not even having any contents. Okay, so it is telling like some residences at Godrej city or something. But when you look at here, this is not having any proper content. Okay, and so here it is from Big Bazaar, but still it is showing us spam because the content is not a formatted content here. Okay, so see here, this is taking my email ID. Okay, this is taking my email ID as the primary thing, as a salutation. Okay, and the salutation has to be happened inside the content area, not in the subject. Okay, so these kind of scenarios will be taken care when you are trying to get it is a spam or not spam. Okay. And this one is anomaly detection algorithm. So anomaly in the sense unusual things. Okay, so if a flow is happening with normal things and suddenly if an unusual behavior is happening in my application, let's say if my screen is suddenly blinking, okay, if my screen is suddenly blinking, or you might have experienced this sometimes. When you are operating your laptop, suddenly a command prompt will come up and it will close automatically within a fraction of a second. It will go away. Okay, so that time we will be getting confused. Oh my god, what is happening to my machine? So when you are playing a game in your mobile phone, suddenly your display will blink. So some unusual things will be happening. So that time we will be thinking, hey, what happened to my phone? Why it is working abnormally, right? So similarly, when you are into an application and when some unusual things are happening, the system will think whether any fraud is happening here. So let's say you are making a transaction in Amazon. Okay, when you are making a transaction, there will be much security checks will be happening, right? So more security checks will be happening, and if the system is detecting like your data is leaking at some point, then it will restrict your payment and it will return to the application saying that you cannot able to process your payment this time, you can try later. Okay, so these kind of things will be detected using this anomaly detection algorithm. Yeah, so this clustering. So clustering means nothing but grouping. Okay, so this clustering algorithm is actually helping us to group some particular information based on the given parameters. Okay, so we have various parameters. We are going to consider all the parameters, and then we are going to group this. Okay, so like the primary social kind of things we are having in the Gmail, right? So there we are using this clustering algorithm and the regression algorithm. Okay, so this one I was talking about. What is meant by this regression algorithm is based on the previous inputs. Okay, so let's say for the past 1 week there was no rain. Okay, there was no rain, and today the weather seems to be very clear. So we can predict like tomorrow there won't be a possibility for rain. But if we have rain for the past 2 days, and if we see the weather prediction today as like the weather condition today, like there is some cyclone evidences here, so we can predict like tomorrow there will be rain in this particular coastal areas. So these kind of things we can able to predict with the graph plot points. Okay, so this is how the linear regression will be there. Okay, so it will be happening, it will be having the x and y axis. So inside this x and y axis we will be having this various formulations, various mathematical formulations we have. Okay, so with the mathematical formulations we will be deciding whether the graph is going in the correct direction or not. Okay, so this is, yes, of course, this is a statistical approach. So based on the previous records and previous statistics, we will be finding the result. Okay, so I'm just skipping these details. Okay, so let's say we are plotting various points. Okay, so after plotting various points, we will be having some particular threshold. So inside this particular threshold, if some particular data are falling down, we can predict these data are coming in line, and these particular data are not coming in line. So we will be posting only the data which is coming in line. Okay, and this KNN algorithm, this is helping in Amazon. So when I'm purchasing a particular mobile, again some graphs will be plotted here, and based on the radius, so I want to get only this particular radius, I can able to get these 3 products in the related items, and if the radius goes up, I can able to get more products in the prediction list. Okay, when you click more related products, then it will the radius of the circle will get expanded, and you can able to get more products in the search list. Okay, so I think I can end up with this. So thank you, thanks for the patient listening, and thanks for being interactive throughout the session. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation. Really very useful, sir. Rajkumar, sir.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the opportunity.
Any participants had any question? And if you have any question, please post in the chat box. Rajkumar, sir, I think no questions, sir.
Okay, sir. So I just posted my LinkedIn ID and as well as my email ID. So if anyone wants to get in touch with me for any purpose, you can get in touch.
Okay,
thanks
sir.
a lot for the opportunity. Thank you, guys.
Sir, wait, sir. Sabeda. Sabeda. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation. And today's session, especially unsupervised machine learning, is very useful and very informative session, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.